NFL, any digital platform. So anywhere you want to watch the NFL draft that is not a television. So NFL.com streams our broadcast. If you have NFL Mobile on your phone, you will get it there. NFL Now, if you have a PlayStation or an Xbox, any of those, and really internationally is where we get a lot of our traffic because they don't have NFL Network, so they watch it through the internet. So that's the stream we're on.
And, of course, Matt Money grew up over here on Forest and Hammond, went to Eggers Middle School, went on to Morgan Park Academy, Pepperdine, and has been in media in the Los Angeles and National for quite some time. You guys hear him announce NFL games here on Sundays, and you guys know that if you've ever asked how did we ever get NFL on WJOB, I don't think you need to go too far to find that answer. But we're always proud to have you in here, Money.
I love coming in.
Money, how many kids now?
Three.
Three kids? At what ages?
I've got a freshman in high school, a sixth grader, and a third grader.
Sixth grader and a third grader? What's
and
boys,
freshman.
girls? Or
all girls.
All girls?
Three girls, yeah. My obviously, you know, my brother Kevin, three boys. My brother Brandon about to have his second boy. And here we go. I got all the girls. So, yeah, keeping me busy, man. That's why I got to keep track of my funds. I've got to, I mean, I'm going to think about the amount of money I am going to spend in the next, let's say, 20 years. 3 colleges, 3 weddings, I hope. And that's why my hair is turning gray.
You know, I have 2 young girls, and they're right now. One of them is going to be approaching her senior year in college, and that is we already got a big raise when one of them graduated.
Right.
Now the second one's coming, and now that my wife just mentioned it, she's like, you know, we got to start saving for a couple of weddings. I go, what?
Yeah.
Well, I thought we were getting a break. We're
Nope.
going to travel for a couple of years, man. Let's
Yep.
just blow some money for a while.
And we had a huge wedding. Well, we had a pretty big wedding. My wife did when we got married. So it's like, oh boy, what am I going to be able to say? You know, if I was like, why don't we have a nice small ceremony I do in the backyard? We got a nice big yard, beautiful view, kind of thing. Yeah, no.
Oh, you realize how much money you could save by coming over here to Wicker Park and doing it with Dining Solutions, one of our sponsors?
Oh, I love Dining
Solutions. I
Solutions.
could cut you a break.
I'd do it in a heartbeat.
EC Central girls basketball coach Eric Hundred says give some love to Brandon Smith.
There we go.
Yeah, why not?
Little love to Brandon Smith right there. My the younger brother. You hear my brother Kevin. He'll be on a little bit later. Here I am, and younger brother Brandon. Well, making the region more beautiful, building homes across the fine region.
219-845-1100. Let's see how Greg's doing. Greg, what do you think, buddy? You're on with Money.
Hey, Money, welcome back to the region.
Thanks, Greg.
Hey, nice to travel the train, ain't it? Don't worry about traffic.
Oh, it's fantastic. I was just going through some draft recap, brushing up on all my Purdue Boilermakers and Indiana University Hoosiers and Notre Dame Fighting Irish on the way down.
Yeah. Hey, I got to go along with you about multiple sports. My daughter played both softball and volleyball in grade school and high school, and I think it helped her out a little bit. I mean, other than minor little shoulder pains and things like that, and we made her take a little break, too. And no major ACL tears and things like that with one sport, and I think it's good to be a little more all around with that, and also make them take a little bit of a break too.
Yeah. I mean, we got a powerhouse. We have a powerhouse softball program at the high school where I live, Los Alamitos, and a friend of mine's daughter is one of the better players, and he was detailing the injuries on that team that have ravaged and wrecked their season. Their top 2 pitchers, both elbows gone, and their catcher blew out a knee within maybe 3 weeks. And it's hard to say it's a coincidence when you look at some of these kids that are top level athletes and they are playing it year round, because when that high school season ends, the club season begins. And you know,
been there, done that.
Yeah, it's tell you're absolutely, you know, I mean, Greg, certainly you know it firsthand, going volleyball and softball and staying away from those majors.
Hey, you know, I know who this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a guy whose daughter is internationally known as a beach volleyball player. Here she is right here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Heather Boyan, University of Hawaii beach volleyball player. Heather Boyan will miss the upcoming 2016 season after suffering injuries from falling at the Crater Hike on Saturday in February. How is she doing there, Greg?
Well, she's doing fine. She's recuperating very well and doing some physical therapy, so everything is doing real good. She's can't hardly wait to get back onto the court, you know. So we hope that'll happen sooner than later. And she's very dedicated to her sport. And the one good thing is, she does work out too, and I think that's very important. If you're not playing the sport all year long, like you said, Matt, I think it's good to do a good workout every day too.
Certainly. Well, that's great. Congratulations on University of Hawaii. That's nothing wrong with going to visit your daughter when she's out there on Oahu, huh? That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Go Rainbows.
Not too often, but yeah, it's nice to go see her. So yeah.
Hey,
well.
keep us updated on that. I saw that it actually came by on one of the sports tickers. I know that she
Really?
had quite the career at Western Kentucky, and then she was on the traveling beach circuit, and she'd be on TV once in a while. And then all of a sudden, this unfortunate hiking incident. So hopefully she'll make a full recovery, Greg.
Oh yeah, she's doing real good now, and she can hardly wait to get back on the court.
All right, man.
I got to tell you, Jed, you want to talk about two of my favorites. Western Kentucky, one of the all-time great mascots, the big red shmoo for the Hilltoppers. And then you get out to Hawaii, and you got the Rainbow Warriors, which they finally brought back. They switched to the Warriors for a while, but then they brought back the Rainbow Warriors. Pretty cool. You see the history of the Warrior mascot, but then you get that little rainbow in the shoulder, and that is a good-looking uniform.
I got to tell you, give you a little update here. Whiting, of course, the home of Pierogi Fest, which you've never attended, right?
Never.
You know what? One day you got to mark it on your calendar and go, you know what? I need to be there. First of all, Ryan and I put dresses on.
Dresses.
And we push lawnmowers in the parade. It's all for fun, whatever.
great.
Not real dresses. It's like a little house dresses you put over your jeans and stuff. But anyways, a little wig and all that. It's the lawnmower brigade. But Whiting is very close to bringing the Mascot Hall of Fame to 119th Street here. And I went out there when they made the announcement. They had mascots from all over the place. Philly.
Come on.
I mean, they're having it right here in Whiting. And you need to talk to Mayor Joe Stahura about
Yeah, how did
this.
I not know about this?
Yeah, I don't know.
Nobody loves mascot talk more than I do.
Exactly.
I mean, I can spitball mascots with the best of them. You know my take on Purdue. I mean, I have a national stance that Purdue Pete is the greatest mascot in all the land because he wields a weapon and carries the vacant gaze of a serial killer. Right? I mean,
how
who steps to that? The guy actually has a sledgehammer in his hand, and he is staring right through you, and you recognize, oh, yeah, he'll just swing that hammer, knock my head off, and get to the next person. Nothing beats that.
You know what? It's so odd that you take that. I had to take my daughters to the games when they were little kids, and they were scared blankless.
Darn right they were.
Purdue Pete.
Darn right they were.
Purdue Pete. Oh, get away.
Darn right they were.
But there's a Mayor Whiting here. He can spout all of the mascots. He's like way into it. And they're talking, several $1 million development. And because if you think about it, there's no Hall of Fame for mascots.
It's
And all right,
brilliant.
outside of Purdue Pete, what is the best mascot?
Who would be my second?
Yeah.
Oh, man, you're putting me on the spot. This is tough.
How about the Leprechaun at Notre Dame?
No. I'm not a fan of
Chief Illini.
Chief Illini Weck. Here's what I like. I think there's two categories. Because if you get the live animals, then it's very hard to go against Ralphie the Buffalo. If you've ever been to Colorado and you see, it is impressive. They got those 4 sticks, and you got to try to corral. And it's a female, by the way, because a male would just kill somebody. So you have the live mascots, Mike the Tiger from LSU, Ralphie the Buffalo, or you have, I think, the unrecognizable, ridiculous mascots like Big Red from Western Kentucky, and then of course you have the mascots with a ton of history. And
Blue Devils kind of nice.
Blue Devils are nice, but I think when I say history, I mean think about Oski the Bear. Oski the Bear at Cal, who is a bear that wears a floppy hat, a cardigan, and for whatever reason is you have to keep your hands behind your back and rock. And that's the Oski the Bear style. And it's happened for generations. And you wonder how they came up with, hey, this is the way that Oski is going to comport himself. He's just going to have a cardigan on. He's going to be kicking it, even though all these people are freaking out and you're supposed to fire him up. No, not Oski. Oski's going to be the coolest guy on the field. And, it's stories like that I really get interested
Trojans, USC.
Traveler, at USC. You want to talk Sparky? Hey, look, we've got a devil with a pitchfork. He is going to snatch your soul and suck it to the depths of hell. That's who just walked into your stadium when you see Sparky from Arizona State. We can go on forever here if you want to get this going.
We got Charlie on the phone. He wants to talk about.
I'm backing off. I'm not going to get fired.
Hi, Charlie. How are you? Hey, Charlie. Charlie, are you still in the hospital? I can hear it. Are they taking your temperature and you can't talk? I'll tell you what, Charlie, call us back, will you? Hey, we're going to give a hello to Charlie. Charlie's been in the hospital. He's doing some rehab, and he was on the line there. And you know what he was going to say because he says it every other day here on WJOB. Let's talk to Matt Money-Smith, the pride of Eggers Middle School. Jared Goff, number one pick out of my alma mater, Cal. Is that the right pick?
You know, the scouts that I talked to through the process, for the most part, they like Wentz more. They think coming from that system at North Dakota State, which is, you know, pro style, call-out protections at the line of scrimmage, I formation, a lot of footwork, reads, is ultimately going to be the better player. They're a little nervous about players coming from a spread. You know, I mean, Jared Goff took 99% of his snaps from the shotgun. It was a read and react. You know, hike, bang, throw. You know, whereas Wentz is more under center, 5-step drop, 7-step drop. So that's a bit of a concern, but I understand why the Rams took Goff. He's you know, certainly a lot of people like him and think he has a bright future. But when you're in LA and you're going to trade the amount that they traded to move up from 15 to 1, it's a little bit easier because these quarterbacks always struggle. Very rarely do they come in and light it up like Robert Griffin III or Andrew Luck did. It's easier to sell, hey, give us 2 or 3 years. Played at Cal, 4,500 yards throwing, 43 touchdowns. He's going to be fine. It's just early in his career as opposed to, hey, North Dakota State, FCS, this guy's really struggling. That's when, you know, doubt begins to creep in, and it's just a harder sell. You know, he goes to Philly, he can sit the whole year behind Sam Bradford. You go to L.A., you're not playing Case Keenum for a full season. That rookie's going to get in there. So I think because of the lumps that he's going to have to take, you know, if the two were close, it probably makes more sense to sell it and sell patience when you have someone coming from Cal.
So how'd the Bears do?
It's the player that everybody I talked to suggested that they wanted all along. So, you know, for whatever reason, they felt the need to jump in front of the Giants to get him. And they didn't give up much. You didn't give up your one of your fourth rounders, to get up there to grab him. He's, like many Georgia Bulldogs, a supreme athlete, a gifted, good-looking football player. I know that the one concern that I heard about Floyd is that, you know, you're talking about someone who is athletic and relies on athleticism, and technique needs some work, and that would be the concern is, are we enamored with Floyd because he looks good and he tests well, or are we enamored with him because of what we see on the tape? And there's probably a little bit of that. So that is the one concern.
We're talking to Matt Money-Smith. You guys want to talk about the draft yesterday? Here it is, 219-845-1100. All right, let's look at the first, 7, 8 picks. You got, of course, you go
two quarterbacks.
Yeah, you go to California, North Dakota State. Everybody kind of knew that was going to happen. Then you go Bosa, Elliott, Ohio State. Then you get Stanley out of Notre Dame. You got Conklin out of Michigan State, and you got Apple out of Ohio State. I mean, you got a lot of Midwest and Big Ten right there, right at the top. Why is that?
I can't imagine that Conklin was the pick for Tennessee. That was going to be Laramie Tunsil. But when you have the unfortunate incident that occurred with him, somebody hacking his Twitter account, posting a video of him smoking weed, 13 minutes before the draft begins. This was the number one player over at NFL Network, someone I supremely respect, Daniel Jeremiah, who was a scout for the Eagles, the Browns, and the Ravens, could get back into a probably pro personnel at least level, maybe even assistant GM gig if he wanted to get back in. That's how talented he is. Tunsil's his number one guy. So when that video posts 13 minutes before the draft, it's going to take too long to vet and figure out where did it come from, when was it posted, how do we sell it to our owners, and that's why Conklin ended up going at 8 when Tennessee jumped back in there, and you'd probably argue that Miami got the steal of the draft.
According to NFL.com, I mean, you do a lot of NFL Network stuff here. They had him rated at the highest. He's a 7.6.
Yeah.
I mean, Buckner out of Oregon was a 7.2, and Elliott out of Ohio State at a 7.0. I mean, that he was the highest ranked
Yeah.
guy in
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of places.
So
He falls to 13 on a pot smoking video. I mean, that's kind of crazy. You said you did some looking at Purdue, IU, Notre Dame, and so forth. Let's talk about them.
Yeah, today you'll see, you won't see any Purdue players. Purdue will be iffy. We'll see most of those guys, I think, will be undrafted free agents. So you get to IU, you'll see 2 go today. You'll at least see Spriggs go today, the offensive lineman. He'll go in either the second or the third round. Extremely athletic. Some concerns about technique, but he'll end up going today. I don't know if Howard will go today or not. We've talked about the devaluation of the running back position, but man, was he good at UAB in his one season at IU. As for Notre Dame, certainly you're going to see a handful of players go today. I think you'll see Jalen Smith go. Even with that knee, you have teams that have multiple seconds,
they're doing
multiple
some
thirds.
major marketing. I was been reading in the Post-Tribune here and the Times. Every day they have a Jalen Smith article about, you know what, he's healthy. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Someone will take a chance.
Yeah.
Someone with multiple picks today will take a chance. I would not be surprised to see it early in the second round. I think you'll see Miles Chat go here in the second round, and you'll see Jalen Smith go in the second round. And those are probably they're easily 2 of the top 5 on talent alone players in this draft. But the medical concerns obviously saw him slip. Also at Notre Dame, you'll get Martin. Nick Martin will go today. I would imagine probably maybe late second, early third round. I mean, the fact that his brother Zach's been as good as he has been for the Cowboys. He's the second rated center behind Ryan Kelly, who went to the Indianapolis Colts at 18. So those 2 guys will go today. And I'm not sure if we'll see anybody else. I mean, I guess Procise maybe, but maybe more of a day 3. So probably look at maybe 3-4 guys between IU and Notre Dame go today.
How is Chicago handling Draft Town?
Great. I mean, I wish it was nicer, but last night it was packed. It was certainly an event. They call it Selection Square, just east of Buckingham Fountain there, and there were thousands of people packed into that corral to watch it.
Even in the kind of misty nastiness out there?
It didn't start thinning out until I would say about 9:30. So they made it go. We went on the air at 7. I was out there at about 6, and it was packed. I actually saw the whole Bishop Knoll football team out there. They were all wearing their Letterman's jacket, throwing the ball around. It was kind of funny. They were right behind where we were broadcasting from. All the kids having a good time. So they made it a team function apparently, and it was pretty cool. It was Chicago does a great job with it. The setup is beautiful. I wish the weather would have cooperated. I'm sure it would have been an absolute blowout if in fact it was nice out last night. But considering the weather, it was well attended.
And that is a kind of a warning to all the region rats thinking of going up to Chicago for non-draft stuff. Alexis went up yesterday for a meeting, and it said it took her an hour and 25 minutes to get to the southwest side, like over by UIC. And that's usually about a 35-minute ride. So, folks, there's just a lot of people going in. That has to be why the Dan Ryan is so heavy right now. And Bishop Ford's fine, but you get to the Dan Ryan after it merges, it's just stock full. And I guess I hadn't really been putting that together all week long. It's been like that. You just got a lot more people going up there because of Draft Town. Let's circle back. What really the local people want to know is about you. I know you don't like to do. They really do. No, they really do. We talk about you a lot. We're very proud that you came from this area. My buddy texts me all the time that lives in San Marino, California.
Okay.
Hey, your guy Money said this, or he mentioned Hammond or whatever.
It'll come up occasionally.
It'll come up occasionally. So he listens to you all the time. But, all right, if I had to say, what's a couple of the more memorable interviews that you've done? What comes to mind right away? It doesn't have to be the top one. Maybe one of the top 5.
David Beckham.
Oh, really?
At a time when he was still one of the, I would say, 3 most famous probably people in the world because of how popular soccer is. He came in and hung out with us for an hour in front of like
an hour?
Yeah, in front of a small studio audience, about 40 people. We got to come in there and we rapped with Beckham. That was really cool. I think soccer is probably the thing that gets me because you recognize how big these people are, and the fact that your interview then goes global. You will see clips from your conversation make its way through the international press. We had Didier Drogba on, who was a standout forward for Chelsea, played for the Ivory Coast. It was World Cup time, and if you remember, there was civil war going on, and they ceasefire because Ivory Coast was playing qualifier matches, so that was big, and then he got into that. And then
you do Shaq from time to
Shaq,
time, right?
yeah. We were just on the field at Dodger Stadium, and Magic Johnson saw us, and it's fun when those things happen organically. He recognizes us, throws on a headset, and you end up talking to Magic for 20 minutes. Those moments are always pretty cool, and we're fortunate. We're in LA, so we end up getting a lot of the big names in the world of sports. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar called us. I don't remember. Oh, it was for Kobe's last game. It was the day that Kobe played his last game, and just out of nowhere, hey, Kareem's on hold. He wants to talk to you guys. Those moments are really neat when you could make a very compelling case. Those two names I just mentioned are the greatest. And I know in Chicago, it's sacrilege to say anybody but but besides Michael Jordan. But when you think of Kareem, won at the high school level, dominated at the high school level in the city of New York, dominated the college level at UCLA, and absolutely dominated at the NBA, that he's probably the greatest basketball player ever from an accomplishment standpoint.
I do realize where you're talking
I'm
right
just saying,
now, right?
Look,
you're not talking to LA right now. You're talking to Chicago
I said
area.
from an accomplishment, the 4 high school championships, the 3, because freshmen couldn't play, UCLA championships, including an undefeated season, and 6, NBA titles. So it's pretty hard to argue against that.
You are in the area where Michael Jordan and Larry Bird dominate as the number 1 and number 2 players. I've had this conversation with people, and I don't even want to open up the can of worms.
No, I get
because
it.
I say that the best basketball player ever on the planet
is
LeBron James. And I mean, Kareem doesn't even come into like 5 or 6 around here in that discussion.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
It's also, Magic made a really good point, because and it's just ridiculous that I said that. I didn't mean it to come out that way. But when we were talking to him, because he wanted to talk about the Kobe thing, and he said, I think Kobe's the greatest Laker ever. He said, here's the funny thing about these conversations, is your great-grandfather will tell you that Bill Russell was the greatest player ever.
John Havlicek.
Your grandfather will tell you that Kareem was the best player ever. Your father will tell you that Magic Johnson was the best player ever. Your uncle will tell you it's Michael Jordan, and then kids that are growing up now are going to tell you Kobe or LeBron. He's like, it's just a generational thing. You have this relationship with the dominant player of that time, so these arguments are going to go on forever, because most people agree, in the moment right now, that LeBron James is the best basketball player of this time and space. Now, he, for whatever reason, didn't have that killer instinct, perhaps, that we want those players to have. Michael Jordan for the 90s, Magic Johnson for the 80s, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the 70s/80s. You could make an Elgin Baylor case or a Bill Russell case. I mean, and that's just the way these things go. And
it's also geographical, really. Yeah. I mean, you go on with Petro Simoni, and you guys are sitting there talking, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you say that, and all these guys from Costa Mesa to Pasadena,
all the UCLA alums.
Valley, all those people, you're right.
Yeah.
Kareem, oh, God, I remember going to the Forum and blah, blah, blah.
It's funny, though, Kareem doesn't get it. Like, everybody will say Magic. In L.A. and on the West Coast, Magic absolutely takes top billing over Kareem, and I get it. I mean, 6'9" point. He was easily one of the 3 or 4 best players ever. I simply say, if you're going to talk about the sport of basketball, not just the NBA, but the sport, it's hard not to acknowledge what that man was part of.
You are talking to the Midwest, and it always comes down to Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and LeBron James, with Cleveland not being too far, and we see them all the time because they play in the same conference and so forth. It's just kind of weird that Kareem never. I mean, and I'll do this early in the morning. I got nothing going on. Like, hey, LeBron scored 53 last night. I still say he's the greatest player. Somebody will call in. Larry Bird. Magic Johnson, and then Michael Jordan, of course. But never Kareem.
No, they had to change the rules. They wouldn't allow you to dunk because of Kareem.
Yeah.
I mean, they banned dunking because Kareem was too dominant in college. The man came up with an indefensible shot in the skyhook. I mean, it really is. And maybe I'm just doing it a little bit to be a contrarian, but it's hard to imagine a player that had a bigger impact on the game at at all levels. I mean, there isn't one.
And I just think how many kids took ballet lessons just because Kareem took ballet lessons.
Footwork.
You know what? We could go on talking as long as we want because my wife owns the radio station. But Kevin Smith and Hammond Maritime McDermott come on and they pay for this next period.
Not going to step to
and
that.
And they get awfully testy
They
if
do, huh?
they come on a little bit late. Matt Money, we're always honored to have
Come
you on, buddy.
on, I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, buddy.